Hey, hope you're doing well. Today we're talking about the Boling P1 from Andycine, a RGB on-camera light that is really versatile and will definitely add a lot of production value to your pack. Welcome, my name is Jay Sloan and I make content here on YouTube all about helping solo creators like myself who are out there creating small commercial projects or stuff here on YouTube by doing reviews of equipment that makes that process easier and tutorials about how to use that equipment to improve your videos and photos. So if that's something that interests you, then you know what to do. In the interest of full disclosure, Andycine did send this to me, but they're not paying for this review and all they asked for was my honest opinion. And I have to say, this light has impressed me so much that I bought a second one myself because I really have enjoyed using this. If you're interested in checking it out, there's links in the description. I've been really impressed by this light after using it for the last couple of weeks because not only is it really bright in basically the full color spectrum, whether you're using red, green, or blue, or using it as a daylight balanced or warm tungsten light balanced light. The batteries last about 2 hours, maybe a little over 2 hours, depending on how bright you have it set. And it has a lot of output power for its size. You can see here I'm comparing it to an iPhone 8 Plus. It's pretty small and pretty thin. It's pretty lightweight too, so it's easy to throw in my camera bag and take to places like this. I don't know why you'd want to use something in a place like this. Obviously, it's really bright, but there are some mine shafts around here, and so we're gonna go see if we can find one and try this light out and test it out in a mine shaft. Why would you want a small battery-operated light? Well, obviously, if you're doing stuff like this where you're out and about, but you're also kind of in and out of brightly lit places, but also not so brightly lit places, having a small, somewhat lightweight battery operated light that you can throw in your backpack and have with you is really helpful. But there are a lot of other uses too, especially with this one, since it comes with the red, green, blue. Not only is a light like this useful for putting on top of your camera and filming yourself in dark places, but even if you don't need the extra light, sometimes it's nice to be able to throw some color on a wall behind you or on an object that you're filming because you want to separate it from the background or you want to separate yourself from the background. And that's where this light really shines, is the fact that it has a lot of output and you can really separate yourself if you shine something like blue or red on a wall. So we found a mine shaft. We're going to go in it and demonstrate what this RGB light can do. This is obviously, I've got a lume cube over there illuminating the back, and we're about 150, maybe 200 feet back inside of this mine shaft. And this is a great example of when you might want a small light like this to be able to illuminate yourself. And this thing's only at 50% power right now, which it's doing plenty. It's really bright. This is a little creepy being back in here, but let's talk about some of the features of this real quick. One of the cool things, in addition to being able to go from very warm light to very cold light, aka 2500 to 8500, is you can switch to different modes. Here you have the RGB mode. Here we're going to just cycle through the colors, and then you can switch to where it has special effects. So this is something similar to a candlelight effect, which is actually kind of perfect for something like this, because if I was, exploring this or living back in the day, I'd be using a candle or a lantern of some sort to explore someplace like this. I wouldn't ever do that because I'd be too terrified, but it actually works pretty well, especially if I put it behind something where you can't see the light and I act like I'm just standing over a candlelight. So being able to imitate candlelight, lantern light, maybe even a fire, it's maybe a little on the dim side to imitate a fire, but it does add some really cool effects when you're in a place like this. It also does things like police lights, fire lights, or fire truck lights, and ambulance lights, which I can demonstrate. It doesn't really make sense in this context, whereas this really does. And then it also imitates, like if you're watching television, or if you were wanting to, say there was a broken light bulb somewhere back in here, or lightning. It definitely works for all of those things. And that's what's really cool about this light, is it's really versatile. And so far, I've been using it quite a bit, and it's only really lost about a bar, so a good 2.5, maybe 3 hours, depending on the power you're putting out, it should be what you come to expect with this light. It's also really well built. It's encased in metal. It has this really great metal stand here that has a bunch of quarter 20s on it, so you can mount it in all kinds of different configurations and different places. But for now, this place is a little creepy. I want to get back to my studio and I'll show you what a light like this can do if you're doing product shots or throwing a little light on a back wall. One of the best uses for an RGB like this one, other than having the massive amount of versatility that having a single light that can do anywhere from 2500 Kelvin to 8500 Kelvin and the full color spectrum, is that you can use it in a lot of different ways. Obviously, I've showed you some of those ways already for special effects or illuminating when you're out and about, but another way you can use is to separate yourself from the background in a setting like this where you're in your YouTube studio. So I'm going to switch these lights that are down here, which are just LED strips, off, and then we'll turn on the Boling. Even though I've got a giant key light here, the Godox SL60W with a big 36-inch softbox, another key light over here, it obviously illuminates the back wall really, really well and makes a really pleasing background. And of course, the added versatility is that you can do from this color to this color, or if you're a big Gerald Undone fan, you can even do purple because he's the one who's made it cool again. Another way you can use this is to illuminate products by using the colors in this light to hit the edges of the product you want to really highlight, and it adds a lot more depth and a lot more creativity about how you can present a product when you're filming B-roll of said products. I've found this light to be very intuitive, very easy to use, and very quick and simple to set up. The only thing I would say is that you probably will want a little more diffusion if you're going to use it as an on-camera light to illuminate your subject, but that's pretty easy to do with some white cloth, plastic bag. Just about anything that's white you can put in front of it will diffuse the light more and be a great soft key light. If you want to see other videos about lighting, you can click or tap right here. If you want to see videos about tech that I use as a solo creator, you can click or tap right here. As always, you can reach out to me on Instagram or Twitter or ask questions in the comments below if you have any specific questions, and I'll do my best to answer them. Cheers!